Hello, everyone out there in podcast world. Hope you're having a wonderful day. You're listening to or watching the Service Business Mastery podcast. I am one half of your host, Tersh Blissett. The other half of our host, he's actually in the air right now, flying out to an event to speak. So he won't be with us today. And his name's Joshua Crouch, if you're not familiar with the show. This show, we focus on service business owners, managers, and technicians who are considering becoming business owners themselves. And our goal with this show is to help answer some unasked questions or help remind you or refresh you your mind on information and things that you've known in the past, just forgot to do or implement. And that is really kind of what we're going to go into today. Probably not something that you've known and forgotten because, well, I take that back. We're going to talk some about StoryBrand. If you've ever heard of Donald Miller's building a StoryBrand, today's guest, Rick Bergman, he actually is a StoryBrand, oh man, guide. That's what it is. God, I had a brain fart there. But he's a certified StoryBrand guide, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, what that means. But also, we're going to talk Chat GPT. It's a buzzword. AI, machine learning, that kind of stuff has been really hot and heavy here lately, and we're going to talk how that can help grow your home service business. That's one of the things. Like, I've been playing with it a lot. Like, every day I'm doing tons with Chat GPT and all the different plugins and everything else that come along with it. And a lot of times it's like, how do I figure this out for a home service business? And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And I'm super excited to hear what Rick's done and how he's made that successful. Before we get started with that, I want to give a huge shout out to the people who make this show possible. Upfrog, they do a great job doing tons of different things. I'm going to talk about the retargeting. They retarget your audience, your existing audience. Oftentimes we are guilty of give me new audiences, give me new technician or clients that I want to reach out to, but we ignore the ones that we have already there in our bucket. And we have that hole in the bottom of the bucket that just is constantly dumping technicians out, or technicians, existing clients out, and technicians. And so it's one of those things where the program reaches out to those existing clients and just re-engages them. So they do a lot more stuff. If you have any questions about them, don't hesitate to reach out to them. Upfrog.io. Sera is next. Billy and his team. Billy was on the podcast last week. Just an amazing group of people. It's a CRM, and it's an upcoming CRM that really uses a lot of AI in itself, and they do a lot of machine learning within their program, and it's a really cool platform. We just recently onboarded with Sera, and so I'm super excited to see what direction that's going to take the business. Emerson Technologies, they are they're in all the HVAC equipment that we use, but they want to reach out and help support our show because they do a lot of technician training and also helping local tech schools really excel in their training. If you have a tech school that needs some help, some support in their HVAC world, reach out to Emerson and reach out to me, and I can get you connected with the right people. Emerson's a big company. If you send it to a general inbox, it might not go to the right place, but feel free to reach out to me and I'll get you connected with the people who can really help to make that happen. They're really interested in helping support the trades and grow technicians. And then last but definitely not least, Company Cam. We use Company Cam in our business. Company Cam is great for tons of different things, but what I really love about Company Cam is the before and after photo. The way that they can take, well, first off, I'll tell you, Company Cam is a digital asset management tool. So all your images can go into one place. You don't have to put them in like Google Drive and then figure out how to search for them later and all this other stuff. It's very easy to search the images. The metadata stays with the image, which is very important. If you want to upload it to something like Google and get some more rankings, you can actually upload it straight to your website. And that just helps geotag your locations, which helps with Google My Business stuff, which is not called My Business anymore. I can tell you a lot of things. I'm not the marketing guy. I know some of the marketing jargon, and I will tell you that it just helps. company cam. If you use the link in our bio, that will actually get you 14 days for free and 2 months at like 25% off. It says it when you click the link. But if you're interested in that, if you're curious about it, don't hesitate to reach out and get signed up for your free trial. With that being said, I'm super excited for today's guest, and I'm super excited to talk to him about all kinds of stuff that I nerd out about and learn some more for what he's experienced. But let's get started with today's show.
Are you looking for valuable business advice to reach that 7-figure revenue mark? Do you want actionable tips to properly navigate through every business challenge you encounter along the way? Let Tersh Blissett and Josh Crouch be your guide in getting you to the top here at Service Business Mastery. Tune in as they sit down with world-renowned authors in business, leadership, and personal growth who share valuable insights about management, marketing, pricing, human resources, and so much more. Let their nuggets of wisdom gold guide you in owning a thriving, profitable, and ever-growing business. Here are your hosts, Tersh and Josh.
Welcome to the show, Rick.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on, Tersh. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. It just so happens that Josh commented. I don't even know where Josh is. I thought he's in the air, but maybe he's sitting in the airport. But I appreciate it, Josh. I'll talk to you later. So if you don't mind, would you introduce yourself? It's really cool how we actually got connected, and I thought that was kind of funny in itself. But yeah, just share who you are.
Right. Yeah. Well, again, thanks for having me today. I am sad that I didn't get to meet Josh also, but I'm glad that he's here in the chat. But no, everybody, my name's Rick. I help small businesses who feel like their marketing just is a waste of money, not be a waste of money. Really, what we're struggling with as business owners is we struggle to get people's attention. Something that I talk a lot about with my clients is we're getting hit with, on average, it's estimated 4,000 to 10,000 ads a day. And so it's very hard for your business to stick out in all of that noise. And it's very hard to get past, and we can talk about this in a little bit, but I call it the secretary in your brain that blocks that protects the decision maker from ever paying attention to your brand or your sales or your advertising, whatever it might be. So that's something I like. I loved how you said that you love nerding out over that stuff, because I love nerding out about it. And I love watching small businesses make more money, because let's face it, most of us got into small business because we saw a problem. We wanted to fix that problem, and we also wanted to take really, really good care of the people we love by doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also we got into it because we want to be rich. So there's that too. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
It's so often that I talk to technicians and they're like, man, if I could just be a business owner, I'd make so much more money. Like,
Yeah.
Well, you're going to starve for a couple of years.
And then you won't sleep.
Yeah, your health may decline tremendously, but thank you. Yeah, it's hilarious. How we as technicians, I was a technician, I was a service technician in the HVAC world. We see how much success the business owner has and don't realize that, it could be a 10-year overnight success. Like,
Right.
Yeah, they're there. Everybody knows them, but they were 10 years where nobody knew who they were and they were trying to figure things out. And it's really cool to have, and it's kind of a segue here into the, you being a guide. And it's nice to have people like yourself who can guide others along with building their own story and what all that entails. Can you share what it even means to do that?
Absolutely. So, and I'm going to nerd out for a second, but this is all very important, because it's why I'm setting up for why it matters to use the power of story. Because we've all heard that, and a lot of business owners hear, yeah, I need to tell my story. Well, that's where I'm going to advise you to do something different. I don't want you to really focus on your story, because the fact of the matter is people don't care about your story. They care about their story. We're selfish people sometimes. And so really what it boils down to, and this is the key, is we got to understand that our brain is designed to do two primary things. And this is going to sound primitive, but it's very true. The first thing is going to be survive and thrive. So whatever your brain is constantly scanning your surroundings for things that are going to help them survive or thrive. The way I explain this whenever I'm doing like a keynote or a webinar is, if you think back to yesterday, the second stoplight that you got to, do you remember the color of the truck next to you? Of course not, because that information is totally unhelpful to you. Now, however, if you had gone up to that same stoplight and that truck was on fire, would you remember that? Absolutely, because now you're in a survival situation, right? And on the contrary, if you had gone up to that same light yesterday and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was in there and he gave you one of those high eyebrows, you'd remember it. Because why? Because celebrities help us thrive. They give us status. We love to brag to people that we met a celebrity, or we have an autograph, or whatever it might be. So that's why we remember that, versus it just being the color and nothing happening. The second is going to be conserving calories. So if you, and this is where I see most businesses make a mistake, is they don't understand that your brain can only handle so much information. It's really designed to conserve calories because it burns calories all day long. And that's why 30% of our day on average is spent daydreaming. That's actually a survival mechanism that we have built into us to conserve those calories. And so where a lot of us go wrong with our marketing and our sales is we give so much information that's starting to overwhelm people. For example, if you go onto somebody's website and they say, "Oh, we were founded in 1988 and our company won the local softball league," you're starting to give people so much information that you're going to lose them and they're going to drop out. And one of my favorite examples of this is, if you ever want to see that in real time, just start talking to somebody about your fantasy football team. And they're just going to absolutely drop it as fast.
Zoned right out.
Yeah,
like,
you're going to see
eyes glaze over.
100%. They're going to stare off into space and start thinking about the deck that they want to build this summer. And so really that's the key. And like I was saying originally, not only are we getting hit with all these ads and all of this stuff wanting our attention, on top of that, our brains are consuming more information in one day than somebody living in the 1700s is consuming in an entire year. So our brains are on overload right now. And so the way I explain it to folks is, any of you who have ever been in sales, and most people have in some capacity, when you want to go and land that big account and you don't know anybody in there, the first person that you come into contact with is the secretary. And one of the primary objectives of a secretary is to preserve the time of the decision makers, because their day is going to get wasted if they're having to talk to all these salespeople and tire kickers and whatnot. And so how you get past that is by doing those two things that I talked about: survive and thrive, and then conserve calories. And that's where story comes in. So story has been used for thousands of years. My personal favorite teacher of all time and the most influential man in history, Jesus Christ, taught with parables. Why? Because he understood that people were going to pay attention and understand hard concept with short stories. And it's just the way our brains are wired. And so it's important to understand that, because where a lot of us go wrong in our marketing is we want to tell our story, but people don't care about our story. What they want to do is they want to know, can you come in and be a part of my story and make my life better? That's really what it boils down to.
So let me ask you this. What if you don't know how to tell stories? Like, what if you're not a storyteller? Like, you're a consumer of stories. You love listening to them and hearing them, but you're not the one who is the because there's people who are naturally good storytellers, and they're the ones who, at a party, you're not going to believe this. Like, that as soon as you hear that in this deep South, like, that is going to be a good story. You know what I mean? And
the fish is always bigger every time.
It was like a foot long. Now it's like 12 foot long. But that person becomes the life of the party almost, but I don't believe everyone's born like that, or any, that's something that can be developed and can be taught and learned. How do you, like, do you have like a guideline? Like, all right, this is the, main character, and then here's your Yoda, and then X, Y, and Z. But like, share that with me.
So that's a great question. So if you look at the art of story, there's about, I think the way I understood it is there's about 8 different plots out there. And there's no new plots. All of these new plots are the ones that typically win Grammys, and they're terrible movies. The critics are just tired of the original 8 plots that we get in every movie, right?
Yeah.
For example, for those of you who watched, Pocahontas growing up, they repackaged it and called it Avatar later on. It's the same movie.
Yeah.
It's just a little different. So what I'm saying is, yeah, that's a good question. How do you make a structure if you're not good at storytelling? Well, what I typically, walk through with my clients is we start off with the main character, and that's your customer. They are the hero of the story, and that's where so many people get it wrong. Is they don't count their customer as the hero of the story. They want to be the hero story that swoops in and saves the day, gets the girl and flies away, right? But the thing is that doesn't work. What we can do with our marketing is we start with our customer, who's our main character, right? So this main character typically has a want, and it's usually a deep-seated want, depending on your industry. For example, let's say you're a landscaper. Their deep-seated want is they want the backyard that all of their kids and their friends want to come and hang out at. That's really what they're wanting. They're wanting to provide a really great place for their kids and their friends to hang out at. However, they have problems. So in any good story, there's going to be problems. And that's why we're in business, because we solve problems. A pushback I get, just a side note, a pushback I get from people is like, hey, my business can't be a story. I'm a pillow salesman, whatever it might be, right? It's not true. If you're solving a problem, you have a story. The example that I love to use also is for any of you that have seen Taken, with Liam Neeson, with the famous, I've got a very specific skill set. I love that line.
Yeah.
Anyways, if and this is one that I like to use, but if he had gotten a phone call from his daughter after she had been abducted, and he's on his way to Europe, and she said, "Hey, Dad, it's just a college prank. I'm actually okay. Can you come and do some grad school shopping? Or sorry, could you come and do some shopping with me and talk about grad school?" And the next 90 minutes of the movie is them shopping and talking about grad school. It'd be a terrible movie.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right? You wouldn't pay attention. And so the structure is you start with your character. Your character has a want, and they also have a problem. And they typically have 3 different problems, but I'm just going to talk about the one that's most obvious to people, and we call it the external problem. Let's say that you have an HVAC company. They have a hot house, right? Their air conditioner isn't working. We're about to get to that time of year where those phone calls, I'm sure, are about to start spiking up. I live in West Texas, where we'll have 105 days for 10 days straight. And that's a very big problem. And so that's the problem that they have. But they need somebody to come along and fix it. And this is the most important part. This is the guide. And I loved how, Tersh, how you and Josh in your intro said that you were the guides to help these folks become better business owners, which is the best place to be, right? We love guides. I know that you had mentioned Yoda. Yoda's kind of the classic guide. Luke was a worthless Jedi. Let's be honest. He was worthless. He had to have some guides come and help him be awesome. He had Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he had Yoda. One of my favorites is Happy Gilmore. Happy Gilmore desperately wanted to take care of his grandmother. And he was trying to do it through hockey, but it wasn't working. However, he met a guide who was Grubbs, right? Grubbs with the missing arm. Grubbs came along and showed Happy, hey, Happy, here's how you can actually take care of your grandmother. Even though he doesn't say that, that's what's the deep meaning behind what's going on. He basically is showing him, here, I'll equip you to become a professional athlete so that you can take care of your family, which is what he wanted. That's just the beginning of the story structure. There's a few other parts, but that's really the best place to get started. A resource I always tell people to go and check out is, if you have not listened to or bought Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller, it outlines all of this very, very well. It's a book that I read myself, even as a guide, 2 or 3 times a year, just because it's always got so many nuggets and it's so helpful.
Yeah, that's a really good book. And it's a pretty easy listen as well. So talk about somebody who can tell a story. Obviously he's great at it.
Right.
Donald Miller. He wrote the book on it, obviously. So let's kind of transition into how you and I actually got connected. And because I'm on TikTok a lot, like it's a guilty pleasure of mine, and it's I used to be on Facebook a pretty good bit, but I can go a week without being on Facebook, but not a
Yep.
day without TikTok. And recently I went through and really honed in like who's targeting me, who can get um in front of my eyeballs and on
Right.
TikTok. And when I did that, one of the things I put in there was I wanted to see more about digital marketing. I wanted to see about AI. I wanted to see about things that are really relevant to the podcast and relevant
Right.
to the business. And so then I got bombarded with Chat GPT stuff. Like every third scroll was somebody talking about it. But the moment that I seen your post, I mean, instantly I was like, all right, stop. Let's pay attention here. And
Right.
even I commented on your post,
Mhm.
and that's how we got connected through TikTok, which is wild to
Yep.
think about 3 or 4 years ago, whenever my son was on it or whenever it was Musically or whatever.
Right.
I was like, come on, kid, this is a waste of time. Like, let's go on and do something else with your life. And now here it is. It's connecting us together to talk about chat and AI and all of that. So share a little bit about what you've done with chat and how you've kind of used it to help your clients.
Right. No, that's a great question. So naturally, I'm a marketer, so I like to go where the attention is, and ChatGPT is definitely it. I would say that my theory is people are getting a little overwhelmed with it,
Yeah.
and so it's there, and also people are afraid of it, right? So we were afraid of cell phones at one point. I remember getting our first cell phone car or cell
Mhm.
phone in the car. We thought that was
Yeah.
a big deal. People
Yep.
were wondering if it was microwaving their brains at that point. So there's all these things that are kind of scary. But the cool thing that really, whenever I was looking at ChatGPT and it's like, okay, well, is this going to rob me of all of my money and income? Is this going to replace me? Should I just
Yeah.
go and do something else? But the thing is what I've realized is that essentially this AI is going to become the new Google. So whenever we had a question, we would go to Google and ask Google and hope that a good search would come up. Now, and it's like, how long should I leave my apple pie in the oven? Right. Now you can go to ChatGPT and you're going to get an answer right away without having to scroll two
Yep.
miles down on those recipe pages that are all SEO laden to find
Mhm.
out how long you're supposed to find your apple pie recipe.
Yeah.
And so that what the frame that I've started to use with ChatGPT is it's essentially if you had a super smart working for free coworker. That's really what ChatGPT is. You can ask. That's like that coworker that always has ideas, always can help spark frameworks or ideas, like I was saying, in a moment's notice. And so, where I use it the most is, can you help me understand how I could do this maybe a different way?
Mhm.
Uh, I'm obviously, since I'm a story brand guy, I'm very interested in messaging because messaging is so incredibly crucial to marketing. If I'm struggling to say something a certain way, I will ask ChatGPT, "Hey, will you give me 10 different ways to say this?" And I'll put it in
Huh.
quotations, and it'll give me 10 different ways. Now, I will say that it's imperfect. You still need to use your expertise whenever using it, but it'll at least give me an idea of how to reword something or a framework that I can go off of to use for some sort of marketing project that I have. But essentially, it's a really smart coworker that can help speed up processes because really any giant leap in technology is just meant to save time. Google saved us time. The internet has saved us a lot of time. Phones have saved us a lot of times. Automobiles have saved us a lot of time. It's really just a new piece of technology that saves us time.
What do you think about using it to write the blog post for your website?
So there's several different views on that, and a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
There is rumors that SEO on a national level is going to really diminish. Now, that's not really going to matter for most service-based businesses because they're going to be focused on local SEO, which is great.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in local SEO. But the national SEO is really, there's predictions that it's really going to struggle because there are sites that are cranking out 1,000 blogs a day
Yeah, I've
for their
seen
website.
one where there was like 7,500 blog posts in 1 week.
Yep.
Like how to make 7,500 blog posts in 1 week. I'm like, blows my mind. Like I
Right.
have like 30 blog posts on this website.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I was writing my blog post just 6 months ago. Using this little keyboard thing. I know it's ancient technology, but had to use this keyboard to write a blog.
Right.
But there's also lots of rumors, and I think they're true. But a lot of these websites, and I know Google is for a fact, but they are scanning for AI written content. Now
Do you
it's
think
not.
they're going to penalize for that on the blog post if it's like generalized information that like if as long as I'm just curious, like because Josh and I talked about this a little bit a while back,
Mhm.
and the uncertainty's been there. And he
Right.
obviously with him doing marketing, he's in all the chat boards and all that stuff, and I don't know
Yep.
this,
Sure.
so that's why I lean on him with this stuff.
That's
And
great.
um, one of the things that he mentioned was the what is the name of the page that is all about you as the business owner. It's not the about you page, but basically it's the about you
Hmm.
blog post. And
Right.
he said that one you absolutely cannot have AI write that needs to be you writing it about you, your story, telling your story, and this stuff, and just to make it authentic about you. But there's so many other people that are going to go that direction where they're letting, whether it's chat or Jarvis or anybody else writing these blog posts for them,
Right.
that it's I don't know, like so this is me, just purely me, not Josh at all. Like I feel like Google's gonna penalize people who use it until they come out with their own AI software like chat,
Yep.
and then they'll be like, okay, y'all
Yeah.
can use ours.
Yep. Yeah. So they did come out with their own. I just haven't used it yet. It's called Bard.
Yeah.
And so you can experiment with it. I'm gonna start experimenting with it. However, I think ultimately the point of Google and the point of these search engines is to help you solve your problem. And I think that a lot of this AI generated content is going to get penalized because it's a bunch of SEO focused content that's
Yeah.
maybe not helpful.
Yeah.
And I think the less helpful your content is, the less likely it's going to pop up and actually help your business.
Yeah.
And so, in my personal opinion, if I know, like if I went to one of your websites, Tersh, and I knew that you wrote it and it's coming from you and not something else, I'm much more likely to want to do business with you because I know that it's authentic and real. Because I think authenticity and authority is going to be basically your keys to the kingdom going forward. Because I think we're going to have so many people that are, uh, like if we thought catfishing was a problem in the past, uh, I think we're
Holy
about
cow.
to hit, because I was talking to my folks the other day, and I'm not trying to be a fearmonger or anything, but do you remember how bad a lot of older folks were getting, scammed by
Scam.
Nigerian princes just over a dial-up telephone?
Yeah.
Like it's like now they can take, especially those of us that make content. You know how easy it is to go and take our voices off of our content and call our family members using our voice. Like
Yep.
there's going to be some sketchy stuff there. And so what I say all this to say, I think authenticity is really what's going to end up winning out when it comes to artificial intelligence stuff.
Yeah, I agree 100% there. And that's going to be, so here's the other thing with that. There are some people who are so good at prompt engineering
Mhm.
that they're getting stuff that almost seems authentic because of how much information they're giving chat whenever they're creating the prompt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it's getting better. I think we're only scratching the surface. I was talking to a client the other day who has a chat bot that will automatically will talk to leads, and he's essentially programmed it to sound like himself, and it'll even misspell a word on purpose, and then type the word correctly and put the little asterisk next to it and send that so it looks like it actually is human
Wow.
correcting itself. Very freaky.
Yeah, that's wild right there. I mean, as a business owner, it's crazy. Like it's good to have something to help support you because we're pulled in 1,000 different directions. Uh, but at the same time, you mentioned being authentic, and that's the it's hard to make something like a machine become authentic with you. I mean, it has to learn you, and then you're giving it so much information that it's scary almost that it has the ability to learn you.
Right. Right.
But essentially, I mean, it's machine learning, and that's kind of what it does. And I'm not an engineer when it comes to this stuff. And this stuff, and I think the thing that freaked most people out was they introduced Chat GPT, and then it was like the floodgates opened, and you had, oh, GPT-4 is out.
Yep.
And then you have the plugins that are available. And now, like, there's apps that go straight into GPT. Like, you can have it on your phone and all this other stuff. And now it goes straight into my Slack. I ask Slack a question and it pops up instantly that, the answer to me. And I'm like, Google what? Like, I don't have to do that.
Right.
So I think that that's part of what overwhelms so many people. And there's a lot of people who are, and I wouldn't say stick their head in the sand, but it's like, all right, I'm going to let this play out for a little while, see where it lies in a couple months, and then we're going to try and learn it then. But then you're almost behind the 8 ball on that, if you're not paying much attention to it. I don't know.
Right.
That's just my opinion on that.
Yeah, no, I'm a big believer, and I think folks need to use it and experiment with it and kind of get familiar with how it works, because I genuinely believe it's going to be one of those things where you either learn it or you're just going to be behind, which was a big factor in me. I was like, you know what? Because at first, whenever this thing came out, because I do a lot of copywriting, and if you don't know what that word means, it's essentially a salesperson behind a keyboard. Yeah. But it does a lot of that for you. And I was like, whoa, man, this thing is going to take my job. However, it's really good at regurgitating things it's already known. It's not good at coming up with new creative things all on its own.
And don't ask it to do math.
Yeah, right.
It's terrible at math.
Right. Yeah, it's I tell everybody on any of my ChatGPT recommendations, or any AI for that matter, you are the expert. You have expertise. It does not have expertise. Vet it with your expertise.
That's exactly right. Now, when on the first ad that I seen, or the first TikTok that I seen, you actually mentioned that you had some prompts that you had already pre-built for people to try out.
Right.
Where's the best place for them to try that, or to get the access to that?
Sure. So included in that, I just mentioned real quick, I know that you were talking about prompt engineering. I was actually able to team up with a couple of folks off of a Discord that I found that was all a bunch of prompt engineers. And there's a really neat brainstorming prompt, which is what I always put into ChatGPT before I do anything, because it seems like the responses are so much more creative and helpful. But the best place to find that, honestly, is just if you go to any of my social medias. It's the link in my bio. I'm everywhere at Bergman Marketing. So it's BERGMAN Marketing.
All right, cool. Plugins. What's your favorite right now for chat?
Oh, for ChatGPT. Yeah. I think one of my favorite things, I love doing avatar work, or some people call it customer persona. It just depends on what part of the country you're in. But essentially, if you can understand your customer like the back of your hand, it's like, how to sell to them, especially if you're not like a gifted salesperson or a gifted marketer. If you understand your client, and it'll give you some really good frameworks to go off of when you start using some of these. Like, can you build me a customer persona? And it'll build out. And I usually say for a HVAC company in Savannah, Georgia, right? It'll crank out Tracy Smith, who makes 120 to 140,000 a year and has 4 kids and a husband, and it'll crank out this fake person. But the great thing is that person sounds about who you normally work with. You can start asking ChatGPT questions about that customer. And my prompt guide has several follow-up prompts to that, and it'll be along the lines of, how could I separate myself to entice Tracy to want to do business with me versus my competitor? And it'll tell you, well, Tracy values energy efficiency, like it'll give you all these ideas for your marketing material or your emails or social media posts on like, hey, did you know that this new unit we're using is going to save you, up to $50 a month on your electricity bill? Like stuff like that is going to
Yeah.
speak to your customer if you know your customer really well. That's one of my favorite prompts that's in there.
Oh, that's really cool. I'm excited to try that out. The what do you think about AI images? That's my last question with
Oh,
AI.
good. So are you talking about for like blog posts and stuff like that?
Yeah, just in general. Yeah, blog posts, social media posts, like because I play with it a lot, and
Right.
I'm struggling to get something that I would deem acceptable to put out there.
Yeah.
And
They're
I'm,
trippy.
Oh yeah, I'm watching videos on it. I'm like, man, I'm just not getting this engineering down. Somebody recommended Midjourney. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I have. Uh-huh.
So and I'm not a massive Discord user, but
Right.
it's like Discord exclusive. And so I'm like
Right.
learning Discord while I'm also trying to learn Midjourney. And then my images are coming out like cartoons. And I'm like, that gal's image does
Yep.
not look like a cartoon. Why is that not like? So I'm like
Right.
trying to figure this stuff out. But like, would it ever, I mean, do you think that it would be okay to use that image on a blog post?
I think so. I just don't know if the tech is there quite yet, because whenever you do a lot of image stuff, like you'll look down and they'll have 6 fingers, and so it's like you don't want to do that, because then people are going to be like, "What is going on with this
Uh,
picture? This guy has 6 fingers on one hand and hit one arm way shorter than the other."
it's
Uh,
it's hilarious. So I'm actually going to share a picture really fast. Let me see if I can bring this up. Um, and this is, oops, I clicked the wrong button. This image is, for those people who are listening, uh, the most realistic image that I've been able to find of, I think is this it? Yep, that's it. A technician, and he's holding something, and this is the one I've created here. He's holding something that I don't know what
yeah, it
this
kind of looks like a
is.
vape.
Yeah, looks like a vape pen or something, but it's supposed to be working on an air conditioning unit.
Yep.
And like this is after me like copying other people's prompts and other
Yep.
stuff, and
Yep.
like just trying to get a technician in a black polo shirt and khaki pants working on an air conditioning unit. Like that's my
Right.
goal. And then
Right.
this is the best that I've come up with.
Yeah.
Uh,
You might
so
try to prompt it to tell it just the service technician posing, and so that way it's more of like a natural like pose instead of them actually working. You might
good
have a little
idea.
more work, because I don't think it understands what an air conditioning unit really looks like.
Yeah, it gave me some like recommendations. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me share this again. It gave some recommendations below that image, and the recommendations that it gave, they're like pretty good. I mean, and
Yeah.
I copied their prompts, and I even came up with crazy images when I copied their prompts. So there's just a lot of in the back end settings and stuff like that that
Yep.
you just have to learn, and it's not for the faint of heart. And so it's
Right.
like it would be easier for me just to go out and take a picture of one of my guys posing next to their
Right.
AC unit than it is to do that currently, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think it's going to get better. The one that makes me laugh is there was somebody who used all AI to make an American beer commercial. I've never done acid, but I'm sure that's as close as it gets, because it was so trippy. Like if you want something funny to laugh at, go and Google, or you go to YouTube and type in AI beer commercial. They use Midjourney was how they generated the people, and then they use this other AI app that turns it into video, and so it's it's a wild ride.
That's hilarious. Rick, man, I really appreciate you hanging out with me. What's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Sure. Just kind of reiterate again on the where my prompts are. It's the same place, the best place to keep up with me and to get some more tips, so that you stop wasting money on marketing, is going to be at Bergman Marketing. It's Bergman Marketing.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you hanging out with me and talking all this good stuff that I really could nerd out for days on this stuff. And so I appreciate you hanging out with me.
I appreciate it.
If anybody has any questions at all, do not hesitate to reach out to Rick on social media. He's there. He responds quick. I don't want to overpromise you, but
No worries.
just based on my experience, he's been great and very responsive. And so if you have any questions for me, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Service Business Mastery is the website. Just come there and hang out. There's a chat bot at the bottom, and it's not AI. It actually is Josh and myself. It goes to us and goes to our cell phones. So with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful and safe week. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll talk again soon. We'll see you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit servicebusinessmastery.com to learn more.